Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Guys, today is 2nd October, birth anniversary of the two great leaders of India, that is Gandhiji and Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. Today is the day that we should reflect upon the values of these two great leaders and we should try to imbibe their values in our outlook. So guys, welcome everyone. Today is 2nd of October and we are going to take up the Hindu analysis, and in this particular session, we are going to take up entire analysis of Hindu. We'll take up all articles which are relevant for our examination, along with their background as well as way forward. And before starting up this particular session, I would also like to tell you that you can download explainer or synoptic notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. You can go to Telegram and can download the PDF from there. Now, first of all, let's take overview of entire newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are actually important for the exam in our today's newspaper. So here we have Delhi edition. Now, first article, gross GST revenue growth slowed to 10.2% in September. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. I have told you many number of times that you are not required to trend month by month data, but you need to understand the major trends going on in Indian economy. For example, today there is one article that has come in text and context talking about the decline in the savings and increase in liabilities. We'll take that particular article, but my point is that every month to month data is not important. Broad trends you should know, because by the time that thing will change. Then moving on, oil firms raise ATF, aviation turbine fuel and commercial LPG prices. Okay, so this will have an impact on the inflation. Then moving on, after that, AFSPA extended in 4 districts of Assam. Okay, then guys, in this particular direction, we have these basically pages where the Gandhi Jayanti and Shastri ji's birth anniversary, all that particular thing is mentioned. Moving on, we don't have much relevant articles in this particular page, so directly we'll be reaching to editorial section. Now, when we reach to editorial, first article is India's statistical performance on the global stage. We'll take this particular article for exam. Then change in Maldives. Now we'll take this particular article for exam point of view, because this article is talking about the Maldives, and Maldives being our immediate neighbor, article is important. We'll take it up. Okay, then moving on, a time to articulate new constitutional ideals for India. We'll take this particular article also for the examination. Okay, so this article talks about the so basically guys, what has happened, there was so basically in 1992 there was an incident that happened in Tamil Nadu where there were a lot of atrocities committed on the tribal people on the pretext of sandalwood sandalwood smuggling and all such kind of a things, and a lot of atrocities were committed on the people, including the rape of the women. On that particular thing, state at that time of did not took any action, and now basically it has been said that that finally the justice has been done as a judgment has come. Now, guys, moving on this particular direction, you are not required to really go and track the details of the article. Okay. For exam point of view, substance is not there. Okay. Then moving on, an aging India needs age responsive TB care. We'll take this particular article also for examination. Fine. Then after that, moving on, the farce of total prohibition. Okay. Now, basically, guys, again, the article is talking about basically largely the regional specific issues, particularly the TDP party, what has been the promises, okay, in the past they have made. Now, not important for exam point of view, because I have read the article, exam substance is not there. Then moving on, diminishing returns of factor in AIDMK's divorce from BJP. No need to go in this article. Then coming to text and context. So here we have article, have household savings reduced. Okay, we'll take this particular article for examination, because understand this thing, economic trends, the way Indian economy is behaving, that is always an important theme. I say you that everyday data that is being reported, that for September, okay, oil prices are this, CAD went this place, GST is going, GST collection is this, that is not important, but state of Indian economy, that is important. We'll take this entire article for exam, an important one. Then moving on, the largest climate action lawsuit against 32 countries. We'll take this article as a case study. Then how government agencies use commercial spyware to target opponents. So basically in the past, many of governments, they have been alleged that they use spyware, and by that spyware they target their opponents. Many times political opponents have been targeted by this particular thing, and earlier there was one such kind of an allegation that was made against India also. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Article is talking about the history that where such kind of a things have happened. Okay. Again, I have read that entire article for exam. Okay. Exam specific substance is not given in this article because it has more of a political undertone. Okay. Moving on in this direction, then India-US relations now on a different plane. Jai Shankar. Okay. So basically, guys, we have seen that there have been a lot of exchanges between India and USA. Recently, Minister of External Affairs have also addressed the 78th session of United Nations General Assembly. There also he has talked about the India-US relation which are deepening. Now basically what has happened, so basically now recently the Minister of External Affairs have attended an event in Washington. Okay, so there he had said that now the relations are such that both the countries are comfortable with each other and they are collaborating on another fields. Okay, the technology, okay, the polity, and all such kind of things. Moreover, we see that India US has also come together because of their shared vision of Indo-Pacific region. Okay, moving on in this particular direction. Fine. Then we have over 9.2 lakh sites host cleanliness drives. Okay, because of the Gandhiji's birth anniversary, which is also used to mark the Swachhta Abhiyan in India. Okay, launch was critical for Chandrayaan 3 success. So this article is a kind of an interview with Mr. S. Somnath. Okay, the chairman of ISRO. Now, Mr. S. Somnath has just given an idea that in Chandrayaan 2, we were trying to land on a particular side, but now this time we have designed a bigger area. Okay, so this is a kind of an interview. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Uh, if you want, you can read this particular. If you want, you can read this particular article, but and understand this particular thing with respect to the science and technology section that is there in our GS paper number 2. GS paper number 3 or prelim science and technology, that dimension is not discussed here. So this is a kind of a candid discussion that has happened. Okay, moving on in this particular direction, then we have these standards, etc. Nothing much important. Fine. Moving on, DGCA may bar pilots from using perfume. Okay, no shortage of TB drugs in country because there have been recently reports saying that TB drugs are in shortage. Okay, DOTS therapy which is used, the drugs are in shortage, but government has said that no such shortage is there. On world page, suicide bomber detonates a device in Turkish capital. Okay, million protester rally in Warsaw against Poland. Okay, Bangladesh bars ailing Khaleda Zia from healthcare treatment. Now, understand one particular thing that when we talk about business page, when we talk about the international page, on international page, those articles are important which actually contain some India's foreign policy related issue or India's international interest or such kind of thing. Okay. However, nothing much important is given here. One article for international section is in our editorial, fine, which I showed you about Maldives. That article is important. We will take it up. Then this is MoneyWise page. Now, MoneyWise page. Now, this particular page contains investment related advice, portfolio management, where you should invest your money, where you should not invest the money. But we, the UPSC aspirants, we have the hand to mouth situation always. We are very barely we are able to manage our monthly expenses. So we don't have money to invest. So this page is not useful for us. Moving on in this direction, then we have the sports page as guide. And guys, in the last, after the sports page, there is this one science page that is there, and it doesn't comes in almost all the printed editions. Okay, so if you're following it, this might not be there, and if you are following even the print of some other area, some other region of the country, then also text and context is also sometimes not there. Okay, so in the today's section, there is this article on science clues to ancient Kosi superflood says it could happen again. We'll take this particular article, and there is one more article, Karman line. We'll take this article also. So these are all the articles that we are going to cover in the today's session. And guys, I hope that you have understood how to skim through the newspapers. Okay, and I say you many number of times that this particular thing is important because when you will read newspaper at your own, you should be able to understand how to identify the articles. Okay, now let's just start discussion one by one in detail. Okay, so starting up. So this is the synoptic notes that I was saying you can download from the Telegram channel. Link is given in description box. So today we will be taking the quotation from the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that I will strive for an India in which even the poorest of the poor shall feel that this is their country, a country where their voice matters, a country where this voice matters. Now, this particular idea clearly goes in line with the idea of Antyodaya, as well as the idea of Sarvodaya that has been given by Gandhiji. So has been popularized by Gandhiji. Okay, when we talk about Antyodaya, Antyodaya provides that there should be upliftment of the downtrodden people, the person who is standing at last in the proverbial line. That particular person's upliftment should be there. Antyodaya, downtrodden people's upliftment. Sarvodaya, everyone's upliftment should happen. So Sarvodaya directly it goes in line with the idea of inclusive growth and inclusive development that we talk about. No one should be left behind. Okay, so today we these words inclusive growth, inclusive development has become popular, but the idea has been talked by Gandhiji in the way of Sarvodaya long back, and this particular quotation just points to these two things. Okay, now you can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2, governance, good governance, as well as in GS paper number 4, ethics. We can use this particular idea. So growth should not be only of few people, growth should be of entire society, because when the society grows, the nation grows, and when the nation grows, the entire world develops, the entire world prospers. Okay, moving on, and let's start the discussion with the first article. And meanwhile, a very good morning to all of you who are present here, as well as the others who will be watching it later. A very good morning to all of you. Now, have household savings reduced? So this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to Indian economy. Within Indian economy, issues related with the state of Indian economy. State of Indian economy will take this particular article. Now, first of all, before going on in this article, I would like to give you some basic background information, and after that we'll go in the detail of this particular article. So basically what has happened recently, Reserve Bank of India has released their monthly bulletin. Reserve Bank of India, in this bulletin or in this report, they basically release that how Indian economy is performing, what are the challenges that Indian economy is facing. Also, they release some crucial data. Now, one of a highlight of Reserve Bank of India's bulletin was the pattern of saving rate in India. Was the pattern of saving rate, and this particular RBI report has provided this particular thing, that saving rate in the household, they have declined particularly after pandemic, and their liabilities, the debt they have taken, their liabilities are going up. Their liabilities are going up. Now, from this particular finding, there are two type of conclusions that are being made. Conclusion number one, that it shows that Indian economy is facing a kind of a threat, or households, they are facing a kind of a financial crisis. But on another hand, one more kind of a inference is being made, and that inference is this: no, Indian economy is doing good. How it is doing good and how it is doing bad, that thing we are going to discuss in this particular article. So both of these particular viewpoints we are going to discuss in this particular article. Okay, now moving on guys. So first of all, let's understand what Reserve Bank of India says. What Reserve Bank of India says? So Reserve Bank of India says that the financial savings has fallen to 5.1% from 11.5% in 2020-2021. So from 11.5%, savings have fallen to 5.1%. Okay, for example, I had X amount of saving, it has reduced. And at the same time, liabilities, loans, debts that the households have taken, these loans, liabilities, debts, what has happened? They are increasing. So it shows that there is like a kind of a rising in indebtedness. There is rising in indebtedness. People are taking more loan, whether it is good for Indian economy or whether it is bad for Indian economy. So two viewpoints come. Now, first of all, government, finance ministry, even we have taken this article, I think 2-3 days back in our analysis. So finance minister had said that actually it is a sign of something good. How it is a sign of good? So finance ministry provides this particular thing, that actually what is happening, people have deliberately reduced their financial savings. Why? Because they have a confidence in Indian economy. See, understand why you save money. You save money for bad times, you save money for rainy days, that when you will not have money, when you will, let's say, if you are not having job, you can use that saved money and you can continue your sustenance. So people save money for bad days. But now there is a hope of Indians in the Indian economy, and therefore they are using their saving to buy cars, they are using their savings to buy real estate, they are using their savings on a large number of things. Okay, so this is the reason that the savings have reduced. And if we see here, at the same time, actually we see that households today, they are investing money in real estate, in property. Okay, finance ministry also said this particular thing, that actually what happened after the pandemic, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan gave Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package that came, it was accompanied with the reduction in the interest rates. Bank loan interest rates, they went down. People took advantage, and by borrowing money, they have invested in a lot of things. So this is the reason that their liabilities have went up. So these are the explanations that are given by the finance ministry. Now let's see what data says in this direction. So basically, if we see the data, so actually, guys, we find this thing that the post-COVID, between 2021, 2020-21 and 21-22, construction sector was the fastest growing sector, and it was growing at 15%. Now 15 double digit growth rate in construction sector. So obviously people were constructing properties. Okay, people were demanding the new homes, so therefore developers were constructing new flats. So construction sector. Also, it is being said that the housing loans that were being taken, they were growing at a double digit rate. Okay, between 2018-19 to 22-23. Okay, also what has happened, housing finance companies, fine, they have grown almost 17 times between this particular period to this period. So clearly we see that people are demanding homes, they are investing in real estate, or and for that thing they are increasing their borrowing more, and they are also diluting their savings. So this shows that there is a kind of a better hope in Indian, better expectation about Indian economy. Okay, one, fine. But on another hand, there are some contrary data also, which shows that it is not the complete picture. Now let's see that contrary data. So on the other hand, we see this particular thing, that what actually has happened, people have also taken up high personal loans. Now what is a personal loan? Personal loan is not specific for any investment or any business thing. Personal loan is for consumption. Personal loan is for consumption. For example, I pledge gold, I take some money, I will use that money to pay my fees, to pay my rent, or something like that. So we see this thing, that outstanding credit card loan has increased from 3.8% to 4.7%. Loan against gold jewelry has risen from 1.07% to 2.16%. So today households are taking credit card loan, they are buying the things on credit card and are not paying that because they don't have money. So this shows that that the personal loans have also increased. So it means that people now see, understand why you will take a personal loan. If I have money in my bank account, fine. Do I need to take a loan to buy consumption related items? No. Okay, no. For business I can, but for personal consumption I will not take a loan. So this shows a different kind of a picture. But again, a counter explanation comes. Again, a counter explanation comes. Now, what is the counter explanation? Counter explanation is something like this, that actually what happened during COVID, there was lockdown. And during lockdown, people were not able to consume a lot of things because markets were closed. So there was a pent up. So there was actually what happened, there was a kind of pent up demand. Okay, pent up demand during the pandemic. And now people are coming out and are consuming the things. So therefore, this personal loans have also went up. So there is no one way to see that whether it is an indication of good or whether it is an indication of a decline. It depends on your interpretation as what you give. Is it clear or not? So this is a fact which RBI gave, but on the fact we will make our opinion. Okay, so that is all about this article. And now, guys, moving on to the next article. Moving on to the next article. Okay. Okay. So there is one comment that there is some kind of a flickering that is there in video. Now, guys, understand this thing, that from our end the things are stabilized, but sometimes in the live stream this particular issue comes. Right now, actually telling you very frankly, only one option is there, that we have to end this stream and we have to start a new stream. Okay, because earlier also it has happened one or two times. So only one option is there, to end the stream and to start a new stream, but it will create a unnecessary a lot of problems. So I think that we should continue with it, and please manage, because you know that these are all the technical things not in our control and happens sometimes. Okay, moving on. Change in Maldives. Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relations, international affairs, and with respect to the developments in India's neighborhood, we are going to take this particular article. And with this, I just want to take an opportunity. I want to use this article as an opportunity to explain one fundamental thing also. The students who are preparing for political, who have political science and international relation as an optional, understand this particular thing, guys, that they are always, there is issues going on in your neighborhood. Even the political issues going on in your neighborhood are sometimes important, but understand this thing: you are not needed to track what political opposition's leader said to the prime minister, okay, or what political allegations have been made by X leader against the Y leader. No, when we talk about internal politics, this is a kind of an article that you need to follow. You will understand this thing. Just let's wait for 5 minutes. Now, first of all, what has happened recently, the presidential elections have been carried in Maldives, and in this presidential elections we see this particular thing, that former president Mr. Ibu Soli, he has been replaced with Mohammad Muizu, who is a new president now in Maldives. Now, understand, this is a political development. New government has come in Maldives. How this new government might have, how this new government sees India, how it is going to carry its relation with India. Now, this kind of a political development is something which is important for exam, both for political science as well as in our GS paper number 2. Okay. So now moving on. So guys, when we talk about the former president, Mr. Ibu Soli, so first of all, you need to understand that why he was replaced with new president, that is Mohammad Muizu. So it is largely because of anti-incumbency sentiment. Anti-incumbency sentiment. First of all, what is the meaning of this anti-incumbency sentiment? So many number of a times it has happened in India also. So many number of a times the government that is continuing, people developed a negative attitude towards that government, and people just want to remove this present government and want to replace it with any other government, but they don't want this present government. So incumbent who is right now sitting in the chair, against that incumbent, negative attitudes develop. That is anti-incumbency. So they want to remove the present government and just they want to bring a new government. So this is the anti-incumbency sentiment. Now, why such anti-incumbency sentiment developed against the president Soli? It is because of the post-COVID-19 and related management. So after COVID-19, you know this particular thing, that economy got impacted, and trade tourism sector was something which got impacted maximum because of COVID-19, because of the movement restrictions that were there. Now, when we talk about Maldives, Maldives largely is dependent on tourism, and as tourism sector was impacted, a lot of economic crisis came during the during post COVID in Maldives, and at that point of a time, President Soli was in the charge. So therefore, against him, there is a lot of negative attitude that has developed. Moreover, guys, what has happened? So his friendship with the former president Mohammad Nasheed also broke down during this particular period, and a lot of political controversy came out because of this particular thing. So also on these particular issues, there are the developments that have happened. Then, guys, there are the concerns over the sovereignty issue. Now let's understand this particular thing. This is a very important point. So former president who has now been replaced, that is the earlier president, President Soli, he he maintained a very positive attitude towards India. Okay, and he openly favored India. Now that particular thing has actually not been lied by a large number of people. So during his time, there was India Out campaign that was openly going on in Maldives. Many people actually saw that he is favoring India a lot. So this actually thing also had led to some issue. We'll explore this point little bit more as we'll move forward. So basically, guys, what happened now, when we talk about, the new president, that is Mohammad Muizu, who has now come. So basically, he he comes from the political party, that is PPM. Okay, PPM. Now PPM political party, this political party was the party who was behind India Out campaign. this party is behind India out campaign, and this political party has openly favored China for infrastructural projects, for investment, for trade relations also. It has openly favored China. And as Mr. Muizu has come, so it means that it is a victory of PPM party and it is a victory of India out campaign. It is a victory of India out campaign. Particular political party, that is PPM, this party's chief is the former Maldives president Abdullah Yamin, and Abdullah Yamin also is outrightly critical of India. Okay, outrightly critical of India, and he has always supported the Chinese investment, free trade agreement with the China. Okay, infrastructure projects run by the China. So because of this particular thing, when this presidential elections were being fought, where Mr. Soli and Mr. Muizu was there in the race, it was being called as the India versus China contest. It was being called as the India versus China contest. And in this, as Mr. Soli has been lost, it is being said that it is a loss of India, because now what will happen? China will come openly. China will become influential in Maldives, and as Maldives is in immediate neighborhood of India, it will impact India. So it is a loss of India. Okay. Now, as this particular so I told you that when Mr. Soli was president, he turned he turned his focus on India, and it largely followed India first policy, and a lot of infrastructural projects were taken up in Maldives. Okay. Also during pandemic, we sent vaccine to Maldives under vaccine Maitri. Okay. So a lot of relations have thrived between India and Maldives during the Soli's regime. Okay. Fine. So this is something that has happened. Now, guys, what has happened after the victory of Mr. Muizu? Prime Minister of India was actually the first to congratulate him on his victory. And he has also given a particular kind of an impression that we are also going to maintain a neutral policy. But now the time will tell that whether Maldives will actually maintain a neutral policy or it is going to revert towards the China. And on this particular development, not only India, but West is also concerned. Now, if we talk about, guys, West, particularly USA. USA is driving quadrilateral security dialogue. In the quadrilateral security dialogue, there is US, Australia, Japan, and India. And this entire quadrilateral security dialogue, where it is focused on Indo-Pacific. Then there is Indo-Pacific Economic Forum. Fine. So a large number of Western countries, even the France, they have come out recently with their Indo-Pacific policy. So a lot of countries of West, they are specifically focused on Indo-Pacific, and they want to ensure that Indo-Pacific remains a rule-based region. And therefore, China, they have a negative attitude towards China, because China has always been a rule breaker. For example, it doesn't follow the United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. In South China Sea, it doesn't respect the sovereignty. Moreover, China has also followed the debt trap diplomacy, where deliberately it gives unsustainable loan to the country. And when these countries are not able to pay back their loan, it takes their strategic assets. For example, in Sri Lanka, they have given loan to Sri Lanka, and they have in return taken Hambantota port of Sri Lanka for 99 years of lease. Okay, and that might be used against India, because China openly carries the string of pearls policy. Under the string of pearls, China wants to encircle India. Okay, so China is trying to create an influence in Sri Lanka. China might now try to create an influence in Maldives also, because of the coming of Mr. Muizu. Okay, so now we need to see that how India Maldives relation goes on in one forward. But at the same time, guys, Maldives also need to understand this particular thing. Maldives also need to understand this particular thing, that Maldives is also facing a Sri Lanka type of situation. As Sri Lanka was not able to service their debt and economic crisis came, Maldives is also facing a same situation because of long economic recession kind of a thing that has been there. So Maldives will need the support of the friends, and here India is one on which the Maldives can count upon. Okay. Moreover, guys, there is also one more referendum that has to be carried in Maldives, and this referendum is to decide that whether Maldives should switch to parliamentary system or should be going with the presidential system. Fine, that referendum is to be carried. So this is one responsibility. Responsibility of foreign policy is there. Responsibility of economic reform is there. And already I have told you that given its strategic location in Indian Ocean, fine, its location around the shipping routes, what he is going to do with China, how he is going to engage with China on that particular thing, USA will also keep a tab. Okay, so it is now the time that Maldives and India should come together and should follow a matured course of action. Okay, so that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And now, moving on to the next article, clues to ancient Kosi superflood says it could happen again today. Meanwhile, guys, if you are liking the video and if you find that we are doing, if you are happy with the initiative, please do consider liking the button. I know that I ask you to do that, but this thing will help our channel to grow. So please consider liking if you are appreciating the video. Clues to ancient Kosi superflood. Now, first of all, where this article is important, this article is going to be important for GS paper number 3, environment as well as disaster management. Disaster management, this article is going to be important. In fact, in GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena, GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena also, this article is going to be important. Okay, now moving on in this particular direction. uh, Okay, good morning, sir. I requested please post the topper's original mains copy. Okay, one thing, dear, the topper's copy, they are already available on internet. Okay, so you can find it there. Already they are there. Okay, how to prepare for compulsory English paper, especially for, see, this is a very big concern on aspirants, that how to prepare for compulsory language paper in the mains examination. Guys, I'm telling you this particular thing, that these papers are actually not very much difficult. First of all, the number of marks that you have to score, it has now been just reduced to 25%. So just don't bother on that particular thing too much. So if you have a decent command over the English compulsory paper is not going to very be very much difficult for that. My point is that don't prepare some special thing for that particular thing. A general command will help you to score at least 25% marks. Okay, and even that particular thing is not counted in your merit, so don't be bothered too much on that thing. Okay, now, so first of all, let's understand some basic things about this article and then we'll go in this particular article. So basically, what is right now going on, guys? Okay, so you know this particular thing, that suppose there is this river, there is this particular river. Now what happens, as river comes from, for example, when we talk about the western, when we talk about the Himalayan rivers, when we talk about the Himalayan rivers, these Himalayan rivers are coming from the Himalayas, and as they are coming, they are carrying with them a lot of silt. They are carrying with that lot of big stones, boulders, gravel, sand, a lot of things. Now as a river goes on its particular course, what happens, they are carrying big stones. These big stones, over a period of time, they create an obstruction in the path of a river, and as it creates obstruction in the path of a river gets clogged, and as river gets clogged, river floods around the region around it. And as human habitations are here, these human habitations, they get devastated. So flooding of the rivers have always been a very big concern. Now here in this particular article, the article is talking about a study that is being carried by the geologist in University of Edinburgh and Glasgow. So what they are doing, they are actually studying the flooding patterns in the Gangetic, in the Gangetic plains. So the rivers that flow in Gangetic plains, their flooding patterns they are studying. And on the basis of that particular flooding pattern, they predict this particular thing, that there can be massive flood, which will be called as a super flood, they can come. And for that particular thing, India need to prepare in advance. Now what has happened, so they are trying to reconstruct the river floods in the Gangetic plain between 23 and 5 million years ago. So during this particular time, huge floods, super floods have happened, they can come again. So researchers have provided this particular thing, that if these kind of a floods came, it will lead to the cascading hazard. Now what is a cascading hazard? See, for example, uh, let's say there is a flood. Now, flood can lead to landslide. Flood can lead to landslide. So here, flood is a cascading hazard. Means one hazard leading to other hazard. One hazard leading to other hazard. So super floods, they can become a cascading hazard leading to other natural hazard. So for that particular thing, India needs to immediately update disaster management strategy. Disaster management strategy, because our disaster management strategies have not been that much effective. Okay, so this is a suggestion that has been given. Now let's understand about these particular floods, and also let's understand that why these super floods may come in the rivers in Gangetic Plain in India. Now, first you need to understand some basic point. I told you that as river flow from mountain towards the plain, they carry big rocks, gravel, sand, boulders, a lot of things. Okay. And what happens slowly, rivers leave these particular bigger stones and boulders in between. Bigger stone, it will not go too far. Fine, bigger stone will be dropped nearby. Then medium size stone, it will be dropped after some distance. Then small sand and gravel, they will go hundreds and hundreds of kilometers with the river. For example, as Ganga flows, it leaves its large number of rocks and stones around Haridwar and Rishikesh. Okay, and then it carries the silt only. So basically, as river flows, okay, the heavier particles, rocks and gravel, they settle down earlier, and the lighter particles they settle later. So there is a particular zone, that is the gravel sand transition zone. Now, what is a gravel sand transition zone? For example, this is a river. Let's say this is a river. So suppose this is a point where where almost all the stones they have just been left. Okay, and from here there will be no big stones, there will just be the sand that will be carried. So this particular line, it separates the gravel zone and the sand zone. Now you cannot mark with 100% certainty, but we take a little bit idea that this particular region of this 1 to 2 kilometer, it marks that particular transition zone. So we take this particular idea. Okay, so basically guys, what has happened, there was a study that was carried. Okay, and this study is a little bit old. This study is building on this new old study. So in 2014 a study was reported that around 11,000 years ago, that is in the Holocene era, there was a flooding that came in the Kosi river, and it has been found that the coarse gravel, it is found, it is actually, it has been there 30 to 40 kilometers downstream of the current gravel sand transition zone. So let's say, let's say this is the current line, that is gravel will be here and sand will be deposited across this line. So beyond this line, 30, 40 kilometers beyond this particular line, large stones, coarse gravels have been found. Okay. Now how it reached here when it should have technically stayed here? How it reached this particular place? So the geologists, they say that it is because of the hyper concentrated flows, which have occurred along with some other big event. Let's understand this particular thing in very simple words, very simple layman language. See, they say that what actually happened thousands and thousands of years back, there might have been a glacial lake that might have outbursted, or there have been supercharged monsoon rains that have been there, okay, which brought a lot of water. And by that particular water, what happened, a lot of rock, gravel, it also came along with that, and the intensity of that water flow was very high. Also the material that it was carrying, it was also very much high. This hyper concentrated flow, fine, what it led to, it led to carrying away of these particular heavier materials even beyond this particular line. These materials were carried even beyond this particular line. Okay, this has happened in the past. Okay, they say that hyper connected flows, hyper concentrated flows carrying a lot of these stones, etc. Fine, they occur at some event. Okay, okay, they can also be occurred because of a trigger, that is a landslide, glacial lake outburst. Okay, and what can happen, as they are carrying already these big stones, etc., they will even more clog the river. In start I told you that when the river gets clogged, it gets flooded. So tomorrow there can be a hyper concentrated flow, it will clog the river, and in that case flooding will be more intense. The rise of water will reach to the dangerous levels. And according to a study conducted in Nepal, there is a 60%, okay, the chances of occurring such kind of a super flood is 60%. So India in advance needs to be prepared about this particular thing. India needs to be prepared about this particular thing. Okay. So that is all guys about this particular article. Now moving to the next article. Moving to the next article. Okay. Fine. So guys, here we have this article. This article is, I think, okay. The article that is posted on Telegram, it is proper, not at all an issue there. But the article that we are seeing here, I think there is some kind of an issue. Let me check. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Just give me just 1 minute. You guys just give me a minute. I am doing this. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. So let's resume back with this particular article. So this is a corrected copy. Already corrected copy is only there on your Telegram. Don't worry. Okay. Now moving on. Moving on, guys. Moving on, guys. So here we have this article, India's statistical performance on the global stage. Okay. Now this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, developmental issues, developmental issues, GS paper number 2, developmental issues, as well as in GS paper number 1, population related issues are there, population related issues. There also, we for that particular thing also we can see this particular article. Now, moving on, and guys, let's start with the article. Okay, guys, just give me 1 minute. There is some. Okay, okay, guys. So I have tried to do something, and I think that the flickering issue might get resolved now. Okay, moving on. So India's statistical performance on the global stage, GS paper number 2, developmental issues, GS paper number 1, population related issues. For that, we are going to take up this particular article. Now, before going on in this particular article, let me tell you some basic information. Basic information. So basically, guys, what has happened? World Bank, World Bank has recently come out with statistical performance indicator. Fine. World Bank has come out with the statistical performance indicator. Now, what is this statistical performance indicator? Now, basically, guys, in this, World Bank compares the statistical collection, statistical performance of 174 countries. 174 countries. Okay. Um, just guys, one thing. Please write in the comment box that is the flickering issue now resolved or not. If it got resolved, then well, fine. Our luck has worked in our favor. If it has not worked, we cannot do much because it is the issue from the end of the platform, YouTube. Okay. So if it got resolved, very good. We have been lucky. I tried to disconnect the camera and connect it again. Okay. If had not worked, we cannot do much. My apologies from our side, but it is not in our control. Okay. Moving on. So what has happened? World Bank has come out with a statistical performance indicator report. In this particular report, it compares the statistical data collection of 174 countries. In this particular report, how the performance is measured. So basically, what happened here? It is based on 5 pillars. It is this particular comparison. It is based on 5 pillars. What are these 5 pillars? Data use. Okay. The data that is being collected by the country. For example, guys, in India, we are collecting MMR, maternal mortality rate. We are collecting IMR, infant mortality rate. We are collecting data on a lot of things. Data use. How the data is being used. Data services. On that particular data, how many data services or What is the range spectrum of data services that the government is giving? Data products, data sources, from where you're collecting the data infrastructure, whether you have human resource or not, whether you have the desired human resource or not, and all such kind of things. So on these particular five parameters, a country's data collection setup, a country's statistical setup is measured. And here what has happened, India has got a score of 70.4, and because of that India has got the 67th rank. India has got the 67th rank. Now, when we talk about 67 rank out of 174 country, it means that India is not performing that good. It shows that data collection in India is not of very good quality. Data sources, they are also many number of times are not performing very much good. So now this particular article, what it has done, it has given the different pillar wise it has given pillar wise explanation. For example, data use category, data use category. Now, when we talk about the data use category, it shows that how in a different ways the data is being used. For example, how legislature is using the data, how executive civil societies are using that particular data. For example, it is reported that in India, 57% women, let's say in India, more than 50% of women, they are anemic, means they have iron deficiency. This is the data. How I will use this particular data? I will use this data that okay, 50% people having anemia. It means we need to give them iron supplement, and we might come out with the program of giving iron folic tablets to the women through midday meal program, or Anganwadis will give this particular tablet to women. So I use this particular data and I came out with a scheme. So how a data is being used by legislature, executive, how civil societies are using that particular data. Okay, so on this particular front, we see on this particular front, we this is one particular front. Now here if we see, data is being used properly, but particularly there is one concern on the poverty data. Poverty data. Understand this particular thing, guys. That when we talk about poverty, we don't have comparable poverty estimates in the last 10 years. Okay, there is India loses point because there is unavailability of comparable poverty estimates for the World Bank over the last 10 years. Now, one thing, for poverty, from time to time we conduct the we conduct the consumption expenditure survey. Actually, in 2017-18 also the consumption expense survey was conducted, but data has not been released. Okay, so data has not been released. Okay, so data was simply not got released. How you will use that? So here there are some concerns that come. Though India here is performing well, India is performing well on certain indicators. What indicators India is performing well? Okay, child mortality, debt reporting, drinking water, labor force participation. Here India is doing well, and by using this particular data, India is coming out with the careful insights. Okay, this is one good thing. This is one good thing. Then after that, the next pillar, data products. Data products. Now, guys, understand this thing by whether you are collecting a comprehensive data or not. For example, for example, data products. You are collecting data on that particular data's basis. You can form many different kind of a products. Let me give you example. India has in 2015 agreed 17 sustainable developmental goals, in which 169 targets are there. So zero hunger, for example, it is a goal there. No poverty is a goal there. Okay, saving the life below the water is a goal there. Okay, 17 goals are there. Now, by collecting the data, we can also make a product that how India's performance is for the SDG. How India's performance is for the SDG. Is it clear or not? Now, understand this particular thing, guys. Already, India has come out with this multiple indicator survey and comprehensive annual modular survey. And on that particular surveys, by this particular data product, we are actually seeing that what India's performance is with respect to the sustainable developmental goals, sustainable developmental goals. So this is something that we has already come out with. Then data infrastructure point is given. Data infrastructure point is given. Now data infrastructure. Okay. Now in data infrastructure, who is collecting the data? Okay. Within data infrastructure, there are 5 sub dimensions that are there: legislation and governance, standard and method, skills, partnership and finance. These 5 are there. Okay. Now understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing. Now you might have got one idea. One idea is that this particular article is going in too much detail of every pillar. India's score in that particular pillar. In that particular pillar, what sub dimensions are there? In every sub dimension, what is India's performance? Fine. Now that particular thing. Understand one thing, guys, that such kind of core hairline articles actually are not asked in our examination. Our examination, find the type of questions that are being asked. They are broad questions, okay, and questions they tend to check your general awareness. So my point is that I have given this entire article's summary. If you want, you can read it, but that is not necessary for exam point of view. Okay, one grand conclusion that you need to make out of this particular article is that whenever we are talking about any developmental program of India, for example, in GS paper number 2, there is the welfare program and their assessment has been mentioned. Developmental activities of government and their assessment has been mentioned in GS paper number 2. Any development has to any development can be carried only if you have a suitable data, only if you have the suitable data. And for data collection is important, and in data collection we find that there are certain issues. India is not performing that much good. There is a 67 rank of India in the SPI out of 174, which is not a good rank. So this one particular point you can provide and can say that India need to invest more. India need to invest more on data use, data service, data product, data sources, data infrastructure, so that data collection is improved. And by improving the data collection, we can actually enhance the delivery of social justice for the people. Okay, this is one that you need to see specifically. Every pillar, in every pillar, India's performance, India's score, neither you will be able to remember it by the time you will write your exam, nor it is asked in the exam. How we know this particular thing? Not because UPSC has sent us a letter, but only by analyzing the previous year questions. Okay, so this is my takeaway on this particular article. So I have explained you it. Okay, but again telling you, no need to go in step by step particular detail. Okay, moving on to the next article. A time to articulate new constitutional ideals for India. Now, this is an important article and actually a very good article. And this entire article we need to see very properly. Why? Because this particular article is actually contrasting the viewpoint of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhiji on the Constitution of India. Okay. Now, first of all, guys, um, now this article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, constitution related issues, constitutional related issues. Even in essay, such kind of substance can be used. Essay. Now, article starts with this particular thing that government is now on a mission. The government is now on a mission to revive the to on the cultural revivalism, and everything which looks foreign, everything which looks alien, everything which looks imported is being discarded by India. For example, old parliament building, which was the old parliament building which carried some history of colonialism, it has been discarded with a new parliament building. Even in G20, in the official communication, rather than the name India, name Bharat has been used. Name Bharat has been used. So colonial adjuncts are now being discarded in the preference of something which is Bharat, which is something which is Bharatiya. Okay. Now, article talks about that. What about the constitution? What about the constitution? Because many number of times, the constitution has been said that it actually got inspired from the West. Now, in 1950, when India's constitution was being drafted, at that point of a time, Gandhiji's viewpoint was what? How constitution should be? What type of a nation should be? What was Gandhian viewpoint? So basically, Gandhiji wanted a Swaraj constitution. Okay. Gandhiji wanted a Swaraj constitution, or actually not wanted, but Gandhiji's vision was of a Swaraj constitution, which would be based on ancient village republics, okay, and not on a large government based in Delhi. So they want self-legislating village republics, which will deal with their own matters. And Gandhiji was in a favor of grassroots democratization of power, okay, devolution of power, village republics. Also, Gandhiji favored fine economy that would be based on ordinary Indians producing enough for the self-sufficiency, and surplus will be traded into the local markets. So Gandhiji was not in big favor of a market economy that will be supported by the industries. Rather, Gandhiji wanted to have a self-sufficient economy which will be carried on the basis of the manual labor of people. Okay, and the surplus will be traded locally. Then India would not be united because of a constitution promised rights, but because Indians themselves will consider their duty to forge a nation. Now, Gandhiji's view on the human was something like this. Gandhiji believed that human is benign, human is kind. The basic nature, foundational nature of human is to be generous. And driven by that nature, people themselves will come together and as a part of their duty, they will form a nation, India, and will respect each other's rights, will respect each other's boundaries and every such kind of a thing. Okay. Gandhiji did not believe that a constitution will give rights and only by constitutional promised rights, a democracy will, a government will come in existence. Gandhiji believed that people themselves will feel a sense of duty, and with that sense of duty, they will be kind to each other, will respect each other's right. Okay, so internal conscience will facilitate rights. Not a constitution is needed for that right. This was the Gandhiji's viewpoint. Okay, now, however, at that point of a time, what happened? At that point of a time, what happened? At the same time, there was another viewpoint, opposite viewpoint. Opposite viewpoint is that we need a documented, progressive constitution, which is based on a big state. This big state will have sovereignty, which has uncompromisable authority. Nobody can challenge that particular authority. And this big state will ensure law, order, will control the citizens, will ensure the separation of power, so that legislature, executive, judiciary, all they stay separate. And this constitution will be the source of fundamental rights for the citizens, so that nobody is exploited. Now, this is going against the Gandhian idea. Gandhiji did not wanted that some external document should give you the rights. Gandhiji believed that people themselves, by the sense of duty, will respect each other's right. Why you need a document? So this is the another counter viewpoint. Now Gandhiji believed that such kind of a document having a big state, the state will execute law and order, state will give the fundamental rights, state will control the economy. This is a kind of a Western concept. This is a kind of a Western concept, and Gandhiji did not favored this particular kind of an idea. However, however, it was also Gandhiji. It was also Gandhiji who persuaded Dr. Rajendra Prasad to appoint Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the chairperson of the drafting committee of constitution. And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a person who wanted to have a liberal constitution which is largely based on the Western liberal ideas, which Gandhiji did not wanted. So article says that Gandhiji uh, himself persuaded Dr. Rajendra Prasad to appoint Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he himself rang the death knell on the Gandhian constitution, on the Gandhian idea. He himself uh, rang a death knell on that. Okay. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he believed that India needed a powerful state machinery. Now, why powerful state machinery? Understand this thing. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had seen that how depressed people they have been, how depressed people they have been subjugated by the higher caste. So, domination, inequality, injustice prevailed in the society. And to remove that, we need a certain element of legal force. And that legal force can only be exercised by the state machinery. So, therefore, there is a need of a powerful state as per the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And this powerful state will be bound by the constitution, would be duty bound to manage economy, to control industries, as well as to control the common good, Okay, fine. This is something. Now, if you see, there will be a state which will control industries, which will control economy. This is opposite to the Gandhian idea of self-sustaining village republics, local markets. This is going in idea against the idea of Gandhiji. Okay. Now, further, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar realized this thing, that for hundreds of years, feudalism, sectarianism, casteism that has been there, it will only be uprooted through the constitutional guaranteed fundamental rights of life, liberty that is given. So therefore, constitution is important. Constitutionally guaranteed fundamental rights are important. Okay, and for that, modern liberal state, modern liberal constitution is important. This was the Dr. Ambedkar's viewpoint, and online with that viewpoint, we got our constitution. Now, whether we should revise this constitution, whether we should bring in entirely a new constitution, article says that no. Today, we don't need a new constitution, and actually, it is not a good time Okay, it is fine. It is not a good time to draft a new constitution, but we need to articulate a we need to articulate a vision. Okay, we need to articulate the vision of the constitution. We need to reframe the vision. We not need a new constitution. Okay. Now, in this particular article, we have very clearly seen Dr. B.R. Ambedkar versus Gandhiji's view on the type of state that India should be after independence and the type of constitution that India needs. Now, on that particular thing, questions can be asked in exam. For example, earlier already question has been asked onto the Gandhiji's versus Ambedkar's view on caste. Gandhiji versus Ambedkar's view on caste. Okay, that is about it. Now, moving on to next article. An aging India needs age-responsive TB care. An aging India needs age-responsive TB care. Okay. Now, so basically, October 1, that is yesterday, October 1, it was the International Day of Older Person. It was International Day for Older Person. And for that particular thing, this article has come. Now, just I want to connect one more article with this. If you remember, guys, in last week, I think we have discussed at least 2 or 3 days. Find the article about the United Nations Population Fund, which provided that India's population is aging very fastly. Within next 10 years, that is 2021 to 2031, the adult population will increase by 41%. Okay, will increase by 41%. I'm not saying will increase to 41%, will increase by 41%. So India's population is growing fastly. India is aging at a very fast rate. Okay. Now, article talks about this particular thing, that when we talk about present times, life expectancy has increased because of the modern science, modern medicine, and because of that particular thing, number of elderly population is also increasing. It said that in 2011, about 9% of Indian population, they were above the age of 60, but it will increase to 12.5% by 2030. Now, when we talk about elderly people are actually the storehouse of wisdom. Okay, the storehouse of wisdom. Okay, and the respect for their rights of freedom. Okay, we actually can benefit from their wisdom. We can benefit from their ability to mentor us towards a better future. But at the same time, today we find that actually these old people are facing many a kind of a problems. Okay, for example, their health issues are a very big problem, and within the health issue, large number of people are suffering with the tuberculosis. Now, when we talk about tuberculosis is actually a very deadly disease for the people. Every year 25 lakh people are getting affected by the tuberculosis, and 1000 people are dying every day because of tuberculosis. Okay, and when we talk about the tuberculosis in elderly people, according to India's national TB prevalence survey, it revealed that it revealed that over the 55 years of age over the 55 years of age, TB prevalence is 588 people per lakh population. When we talk about the younger people, TB prevalence is less. For example, when we talk about the national prevalence of TB, it is 316. Means in every 1 lakh people, 316 will be impacted by TB. Now, large population of India is of young. If I tell you average age of India today, it is 28 years. So largely India is young. So 316 national average, but when we talk about 55 plus, it goes to 588. Means old people are more susceptible to TB. Now, there are many early symptoms of TB. For example, cough, fatigue, weight loss. Now, these things are in old people are seen as a sign of old aging. It is seen as a sign of aging, sign of old age. Okay, so this is something which is ignored in the earlier stages, but then the TB progresses and then it becomes very difficult to manage, because old people, they also have many of the comorbidities. Many old people, they also have diabetes prevalence, and diabetes along with the TB becomes a very deadly combination. It means to take large number of medicines which increase the likelihood of side effects, poor outcomes are there, and probability of death also increases when the TB and diabetes are occurring simultaneously. Okay, so at the same time, guys, the article is saying that the social welfare program, health program, social security net for old people, they are missing. So old people, they are more prone to TB and other diseases. They lose their financial income, and at the same time, state is not responsive them. So they are facing so much of crisis. Okay. Now article has given some way forward, and guys, these way forward can directly be used in your answers. So what are the way forward? Number one, article says that we need to move away from disease specific vertical care programs. For example, for TB, there is an entirely a different program, different group of different doctors, different system that is there. TB different program, diabetes different program, leprosy different program, some other disease different program, and there is a possibility that one old person might be affected by multiple diseases. So there should we should move away from disease specific vertical care program to holistic care models, and there should be one program dealing with all such kind of a complications. At the same time, health officials capacity building should also be done, so they have a better clinical understanding. Now see, TB impacting a 25-year-old person and TB impacting a 65-year-old person, the way TB will interact with them, it will be different. So a better understanding or such kind of a thing should be there. Is it clear? After that, technical and operational protocols should be given so that clear guidance or diagnosing is there. Okay, how to collect the samples, how to diagnose early at a particular stage, what type of a medicine should be given, all such kind of a things, a technical advisory should be given. Okay, also how to deal with comprehensive assessment of comorbidities. Okay, a person having TB might have also other disease also. Okay, how drugs should be given, what type of therapy are there, what effective treatment regimens are there which can be given if a person is having comorbidities. All these things, for that technical guidelines, technical protocols should be given. After that particular thing, there is also a need, for support protocols. Now see this thing, old people, they have mobility issues, old people, they have accessibility issues. So therefore, social justice program, health delivery programs need to be redesigned. For example, there needs to be there needs to be community care model need to be linked with the local caregivers. Doorstep delivery of medicine should be there. Age responsive peer support, community support, counseling for the old age people. Okay, special help desk to help the old age people. So yeah, so basically, age old specific fine healthcare systems, responsive healthcare systems, and accessible systems need to be redesigned. After that, the article talks about this thing at the macro level. We also need to carry the gender and age disaggregated collection and analysis of data. Now, TB impacting male, TB impacting female, that will be different. Specific age, that will be different. So, how different age, different gender, TB underplays. For that particular thing, we need to collect the data for the old elderly people. And then after that particular thing, specific research to understand the state specific trends need to be found. There are some states which will have a higher burden of TB. We need to do those studies to understand that why such kind of a patterns exist. What is the scientific reason behind these particular patterns? How the TB will be impacting the people who do substance abuse, resistance TB and its nature, comorbidity patterns across geographies. For all these things, comprehensive surveys are needed to be taken up. Okay, so these are some way forward, and only after that we need to come out with the responsive TB care strategies for the old people, because being a big cohort of our population, we cannot leave them behind. Okay, that is about it. Then moving on to next article, the largest climate action lawsuit against 32 countries. So basically, guys, first of all, we are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article, but we can use this particular article as a case study for environment related protest, environment related movements going on in the world. So environmental movement, GS paper number 3 will take this particular article. Environmental movement, GS 3. Okay. So basically, what has happened recently, 6 young people from Portugal between the age of 11 to 24, they have filed a case against 32 European governments, 32 governments including UK, Russia, Turkey, where they have filed the where they have filed a case against them in the European Court of Human Rights, saying that these countries, they are not following their climate pledges which they have taken in Paris. So in Paris 2015, countries have agreed or they have pledged that they will ensure that temperature will not go above 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible 1.5 degrees Celsius. So temperature rise is to be restricted to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This was the pledge that was taken in 2015. And European countries are not on a line to fulfill their Paris Agreement. And as they are not in line to fulfill the Paris Agreement, what will happen? Climate extremes will increase. There will be climate extremes, catastrophes that will come, and it will impact the future of young generation. Old people, they will die in just 2 3 years, but young generation's future will be impacted by this particular development. And because of that, they have said that it will violate their human rights. It will violate their human rights and discriminate young people globally, because they are the one who will face the adverse consequences, negative consequences of the pollution that has been carried by previous generations. Okay, so they have said that these countries are not following it. Moreover, when we talk about the European Union, at present, it is the sixth largest emitter. It emits 7.2 ton of CO2 per capita. When we talk about the world average is 6.3 ton. So it is emitting more CO2 than world average of 6.3 ton. India is actually, see, when we talk about India, India is also the largest emitter, but when we talk about emission per capita, it is one of the lowest. Okay. So at the same time, now these are, guys, the lines or sentences which you can directly use in your articles. For example, you're writing on climate related issue. UNICEF. UNICEF has said climate crisis as a child right crisis, because when the climate extremes will increase, okay, carbon emissions and the extreme weather phenomena, what they will threaten? They will threaten the access to education. They will impact the health, nutrition, all these particular kind of things. Already air pollution is linked to poor birth outcomes. Air pollution is linked to many of the respiratory diseases, which will impact the children more. So therefore, the environmental crisis is being called as a child rights crisis by the UNICEF. So please use these particular kind of things in your answers. So this is something, as of now, countries, they have not, they have actually denied that there is no relation between climate change and impact on human health. This is something that they are saying, and it is utterly shame to deny this particular responsibility. Okay, that is about it. Then, guys, moving on to the next article. What is Karman line? What is Karman line? So nothing much complicated, a very easy concept. So let's say this is the Earth's surface. This is the Earth's surface, and over the Earth's surface, obviously, we have the Earth's environment. We have Earth's atmosphere. We have Earth's atmosphere. So Karman line, what is this particular line? This is a line which will separate the Earth's atmosphere with the space. The Earth's atmosphere with the space. Now understand this thing. Technically, it is not possible to fix one line. That okay, this is a boundary. For example, you and me fix a boundary. That this is a boundary between India and Pakistan. This is a boundary between you. This is a boundary between, let's say, Haryana and Punjab. This is the boundary between X state and Y state. But how you can make a boundary between the Earth's atmosphere and outer space? Because if it will not happen that suddenly you will pass this line, the temperature, pressure, everything will change here, composition will change. No, it will stay. What the composition of air is here, the similar will be here also. The pressure which is here, similar pressure will be here. Okay, so something doesn't changes dramatically, but we need to have one line for reference. Fine. And that line which is separating Earth's atmosphere from space, that line is called as Karman line, and it is 100 kilometer above from the sea level. 100 kilometer above the sea level. Now, why this line is important? Why this line is important? This line is important for multiple reasons. For example, this line defines this line defines as this line defines as beyond what traditional planes cannot fly. Okay, traditional planes or traditional aircraft, they cannot fly beyond this line. Secondly, one more important, why you need to have this line. Listen to this particular thing. Every country claims the airspace above them as their territorial region. For example, if in Pakistan is not having good relations with India, Pakistan might deny India their airspace. They will say that you cannot take your flights from our airspace. So Indian flights have to go something from have to go from some other place. So every country, they have claimed their airspace, but space, outer space, outer space is to be free. Outer space is to be free. It cannot be the monopoly of any country. So it is something like this. It is something like this. It is something like this. Let's suppose this is the Earth's surface, and here, let's say this is India, this is Pakistan, Now, above a particular region, India can claim that this is our airspace. Pakistan can claim that this is our airspace. But let's say this is Karman line. This is Karman line. And this particular region is outer space. This particular region is outer space. Now, in outer space, no country can claim. In outer space, no country can claim. Even if India's satellite is here, let's say if India's satellite is here, Pakistan cannot object it because outer space is open for all. And where that outer space is, for that we need a line, imaginary line, that is a Karman line. So for that particular purpose, this particular line has been defined. Okay, so this is about it. Fine. And now taking the main practice question for today. So question reads, so the main practice question for today. So question reads that in 2011, about 9% of India's population were over the age of 60. This is expected to increase to 12.5% by 2030. In this context, discuss why India need to invest in the health of our elderly population and pay attention to their unique needs. So this will be 10 marker GS paper number 2 question. Okay. That is all about it. And guys, with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Today's newspaper analysis. That is all about it. Okay, there is one question. Good morning, sir. Why America is not imposing cuts on India for purchasing oil? Okay, oil from Russia. See, dear, understand this thing. It is not imposing. Why? Because USA has a bigger interest in India. Okay, if it will do such thing against India, it will offend India, and India might not cooperate with it under its quad. So success of America in Indo-Pacific depends on India. Okay, so in geopolitics, there is no blind application of law. National interest is always seen by every country. So applying CATSA on America will actually go against America only. Why? Because India is a very big stakeholder in this region. Okay. Uh, okay. Wanted to share one more thing. I have been following your news analysis from past 2 years. Now I am attending GS classes. Almost all the topics of GS I already know because of your daily analysis. Okay, glad dear that it is helping you. And thank you so much, guys, for supporting our initiative. And it really feels good that our newspaper analysis is helping you not only in current affairs but also in the GS parts. So guys, that is all for today, and that is about it. If you have liked the video, guys, please do support our video by liking and by commenting on our video, because by increasing your engagement, fine, the YouTube algorithm will support our channel and will try us to grow. Thank you so much. Now we'll meet tomorrow.